Hello, friends. If you are new here, my name is Evelyn. I am a Fit Model Pro opposing coach. And behind the bikini, I am a tech product leader, which deeply shapes the way that I approach bodybuilding and posing. So here's what you miss if you're new here. So, a little bit of context. A few weeks ago, I did a case study to deepen my understanding of the principles behind a pro card winning front pose. I learned a few things, which I'm going to review with you in the first slide. But what I realized is that I actually really needed to do a deeper dive to validate or discredit some of my subsequent hypotheses from round one. From round one, we learned a lot about foot positioning and angle and stance, because what we ultimately want to do is get to how to create this glute shape. And what I learned from round one is that there are two approaches for displaying this glute roundness. Type A, the sculptors, high axial rotation, left to right, and then high dramatic pelvic tilt. And then we have the minimalists who are doing a little bit more of a moderate rotation and a moderate pelvic tilt. And like all good research, it left me with more and better questions and hypotheses to explore. So subsequently, I expanded my research study to 12 IFBB Pro athletes for this next round so that I can elevate my own understanding to better articulate and explain concepts to my clients. And number two, provide more value to all fit model competitors. And finally, elevate my own continuing education of this science and art. Objective number one, I wanted to decode, define, and deconstruct fit model posing terminology to establish some sort of shared lexicon that is precise and actionable. When people say shape, flow, symmetry, I don't know what the fuck that means. Objective number two, I want to identify and explain the top concepts and principles that you need to learn to become a strategic practitioner. And finally, I wanted to bring all these insights together so I can provide actionable strategies for application based on current empirical and anecdotal evidence. Before you ask the right questions, we need to align on the terminology. Here is how I define shape, symmetry, and flow. For shape, we want to create curvy lines over straight. The combination of convex and concave curves together, like here on the top, it's going up and down and then up. We want these curvy lines because it creates dimensions and it creates some sort of visual rhythm to guide the eyes. The human eye prefers rhythm over rigidity, and the alternating curves here create motion and energy and life. So it helps our brain follow the flowing lines intuitively, and they feel natural and harmonious. Symmetry. How do you achieve symmetry in a fit model front pose? True symmetry isn't about necessarily perfectly mirroring, but it's about balance through proportions. So one obvious area that we look at is, do the legs look even in size, and can we see both of the shoulders? But also consider this. You can also think about the mirrored negative space that's created between your arms and your body, because the mirrored negative spaces actually signal stability to your brain. We've all heard these terminologies before: the hourglass shape, the S curve. The reason why the S curve illusion is so aesthetically pleasing is because when there's a contrast in between areas where you're expanded and compressed, the brain reads the contrast and it creates some sort of tension and release. And the push and pull of the curves form the hourglass shape, and our eyes can interpret that as dynamic equilibrium. Now that we have a clearer definition of shape and flow and symmetry that we want to create, let's look at how we're going to construct this. Part one is the clay. You can't shape what you don't have. The truth is very simple. You just need glutes. You need glutes and hamstrings to begin with. Your shape, density, and projection decide how much you're going to rotate and tilt to make them show from the front. The separation and the pop comes mostly from your structure. You can't shape what isn't there. Now that you've built some clay and have some booty, we got to shape it. Your mobility is going to determine how much shape you can actually create. It's not only about flexibility, it's about control, rotation, and your ability to twist and counter twist, because you're twisting through your hips in one direction and you're twisting with your shoulders in the opposite direction. Your mobility will either enable or limit the illusion that you're going to create. The hips, waist, and shoulders are rotating in a ringing DNA helix type of manner. So you're going to compress the waist and expand the glute and shoulder top line. As I've reviewed before, there are two emerging strategies: the sculptor strategy and the minimalist strategy. The sculptors use high rotation and a deep tilt to create a dramatic angle, and the minimalists use a moderate rotation and a subtle tilt. There is no cookie cutter prescription for what's right for you. The limitation is what your structure allows. And there are winners across all ends of this extreme spectrum. Once the position and angles are set, the next level unlock is control. The critical skill to hone is the ability to fire your glutes and switch them on without overfiring everything else. At the chisel step, isolation equals precision. An elite athlete can contract one muscle while dimming other muscles and keeping them quiet. Glutes on, quads off. Exploring your weight distribution can help you refine your chisel step. Once you get advanced, you will have the ability to have a switchboard where you can dial up certain knobs while dimming down others at the same time. And again, mobility is a consistent theme here. At this stage, you're already rotated and tilted. You're already in a very distorted, uncomfortable, extreme angle. So it's going to be a little bit more demanding to isolate. So bringing it all together, what makes a winning front pose isn't one single element. There are many confounding variables that are interconnected and impact another. Imagine all the different gears behind a watch. They all need to work together to create the final masterpiece. To recap, number one, structure sets your framework. You need the clay, you need booty. Number two, mobility is going to shape your flow. Work on your mobility. It's going to empower you or limit you. And number three, work on activation and isolation to refine the details and really use that chisel to create your final masterpiece. When all three of these things align, you will be able to create an illusion of effortless balance. And this is how you turn geometry into art. When I encounter complex or ambiguous spaces, such as how to create a perfect fit model front pose, I approach it with a systematic analysis and lean on both anecdotal evidence and empirical evidence. If my mental model and this level of precision and intention resonates with you, we're probably a good match. So book a discovery call and let's refine your flow.